Imagine standing in your backyard on a clear night, looking up at the stars scattered across the darkness like diamonds on black velvet. Now imagine if someone took a cosmic eraser and wiped away everything in a section the size of your entire field of vision. No stars, no galaxies, no light whatsoever. Just an endless void of nothingness stretching for hundreds of millions of light years in every direction. That terrifying emptiness actually exists, and it's called the Bootes void. What I'm about to reveal will fundamentally change how you think about space and our place in the universe. While you've been going about your daily life, there's been a region of space so incomprehensibly empty that scientists have nicknamed it the Great Nothing. We're talking about a spherical region of space that's 330 million light-years in diameter, containing almost nothing where there should be thousands of galaxies. To put that in perspective, if our Milky Way galaxy was the size of a marble, the Bootes void would be large enough to contain our entire solar system. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-bending. This isn't just empty space like the gaps between stars. This is a region where the fundamental structure of the universe seems to have been torn apart. In a normal region of space this size, you'd expect to find around 2,000 galaxies. The Bootes void contains fewer than 60. That's like walking into a city that should have 2,000 buildings and finding only 60 structures scattered across the entire metropolitan area. The discovery of this cosmic nightmare began in 1981 when astronomer Robert Kirshner and his team were conducting what seemed like routine galaxy surveys. They were mapping the positions of galaxies in space, expecting to find the usual cosmic web of matter that we see everywhere else in the universe. Instead, they stumbled upon something that shouldn't exist according to our understanding of how the universe formed and evolved. Kirshner later described the moment of realization as deeply unsettling. Here was a region of space so empty that it challenged everything astronomers thought they knew about cosmic structure. The team had discovered what would become known as the largest known void in the observable universe, a cosmic anomaly that continues to baffle scientists more than 4 decades after its discovery. Now, before we dive deeper into what might be hiding inside this terrifying emptiness, let me share something that will blow your mind about the scale we're dealing with. Light from the nearest galaxy to us, Andromeda, takes 2.5 million years to reach Earth. The Bootes void is so massive that light would take 330 million years just to cross from one side to the other. If you could somehow travel at the speed of light, you could cross our entire galaxy 3,000 times in the time it would take you to traverse this single empty region of space. But the Bootes void isn't just remarkable for its size. It's what this emptiness represents that should keep you awake at night. According to our current models of cosmic evolution, regions this empty simply shouldn't exist. When the universe was young, matter was distributed relatively evenly throughout space. Over billions of years, gravity should have pulled this matter together into the cosmic web we observe today, with galaxies connected by filaments of dark matter and separated by smaller, more manageable voids. The existence of something like the Bootes void suggests that either our understanding of cosmic evolution is fundamentally flawed, or something catastrophic happened in this region of space that we haven't yet comprehended. Some scientists have proposed that we might be looking at the scar left behind by some unimaginable cosmic event, a wound in the fabric of space itself that never healed. What makes this even more disturbing is that the Bootes void isn't alone. As our technology has improved and we've been able to peer deeper into space, we've discovered other supervoids scattered throughout the universe. There's the cold spot in the cosmic microwave background radiation, which might be the shadow cast by an even larger void beyond our observable universe. There's the giant void in the constellation Canes Venatici, and dozens of smaller but still enormous empty regions that challenge our cosmic models. Each of these discoveries forces us to confront an uncomfortable possibility. What if the universe isn't the relatively uniform, predictable place we thought it was? What if there are forces at work on cosmic scales that we haven't even begun to understand? The very existence of these supervoids suggests that our cosmic neighborhood might be far stranger and more dangerous than we ever imagined. Recent studies using advanced computer simulations have tried to reproduce the formation of supervoids like the Bootes void. The results are troubling. Most models can create smaller voids through the normal processes of cosmic evolution, but generating something the size of the Bootes void requires either incredibly specific initial conditions that seem unlikely to occur naturally, or the influence of unknown physics that we haven't discovered yet. One of the most unsettling aspects of studying the Bootes void is what happens when you try to look into it. Unlike other regions of space where telescopes can pick up the faint glow of distant galaxies, the Bootes void appears almost completely black. It's like staring into an abyss that stares back at you. The few galaxies that do exist within this region are scattered so far apart that if you lived on a planet in one of them, your night sky would be almost completely empty. No neighboring galaxies would be visible to the naked eye. You would live in a universe that appeared to contain only your own galaxy, surrounded by infinite darkness. This isolation raises profound questions about what life might be like for any civilizations that developed within the void. Imagine growing up believing that your galaxy was the only thing that existed in the entire universe. Without the light from neighboring galaxies to study, how would such civilizations develop their understanding of cosmology? Would they even realize they were living in an anomalous region of space? But perhaps the most chilling possibility is that the Bootes void isn't actually empty at all. What if it's filled with something we can't detect with our current technology? Dark matter makes up roughly 85% of all matter in the universe, and we can only observe it through its gravitational effects. What vast structures made if the void contains of dark matter that remain invisible to us? What if there are entire civilizations built from matter that doesn't interact with light in ways we can observe? Some researchers have proposed even more exotic explanations. What if the Bootes void is a region where the fundamental constants of physics are slightly different? What if it's a bubble universe that never fully integrated with our own cosmic structure? What if it's the result of cosmic strings, one-dimensional defects in space-time that could have carved out enormous regions of emptiness during the early moments after the Big Bang? The mathematical models attempting to explain supervoids often invoke concepts that sound more like science fiction than established science. Cosmic inflation, the rapid expansion of space during the universe's first moments, might have created bubbles of different density that evolved into the voids we see today. Quantum fluctuations in the early universe might have been amplified to cosmic scales, creating regions where matter was systematically removed or prevented from forming. But here's what really should concern us. If the Bootes void was created by some exotic physics or cosmic event, what's to stop similar events from occurring elsewhere? What if supervoids can grow or move through space? What if the same forces that created the Great Nothing are still active in the universe today? Recent observations have revealed something even more disturbing. The galaxies surrounding the Bootes void appear to be moving away from it faster than would be expected from the normal expansion of the universe. It's as if space itself is actively avoiding this region, held by whatever being rep force or field pervades the void. This suggests that the emptiness isn't passive, but might be actively maintained by some unknown mechanism. The implications for our own cosmic neighborhood are sobering. We live in what astronomers call the local group, a collection of galaxies that includes the Milky Way, Andromeda, and dozens of smaller galaxies. What would happen if our local region of space encountered a supervoid like the Bootes void? Would our galaxies be torn apart? Would the fundamental structure of space and time be altered in ways that would make life impossible? These aren't just academic questions. As we develop more powerful telescopes and detection methods, we're discovering that the universe contains far more large-scale structure than we ever imagined. The cosmic web of galaxies and voids extends in patterns that stretch across billions of light years. We're beginning to realize that we might be living in just one small, relatively dense region of a universe that's mostly empty space punctuated by occasional islands of matter. The discovery of the Bootes void and other supervoids has forced cosmologists to reconsider some of their most basic assumptions about how the universe works. The standard model of cosmology, which has successfully explained many observations about the universe's structure and evolution, struggles to account for these vast empty regions. This has led some scientists to propose modifications to our understanding of dark energy, dark matter, and even the fundamental laws of physics themselves. What makes this even more unsettling is that we're only beginning to map the full extent of these cosmic structures. Every new survey of the sky reveals additional voids, some even larger than the Bootes void. We're discovering that emptiness might be the dominant feature of the universe, with the regions of space containing galaxies and stars representing tiny islands of matter scattered across an ocean of nothingness. The more we study these cosmic voids, the more we realize that we might be living in a universe that's fundamentally different from what we imagined. Current estimates suggest that voids like the Bootes void make up roughly 80% of the universe's total volume. Think about that for a moment. The vast majority of existence is composed of regions where almost nothing exists. We're not living in a universe filled with stars and galaxies, separated by small gaps of empty space. We're living in a universe of overwhelming emptiness punctuated by tiny pockets of matter. But here's where the story takes an even darker turn. Recent computer simulations attempting to model the formation of these supervoids have revealed something that challenges our most fundamental assumptions about cosmic evolution. When researchers run their models forward in time, starting from the conditions we know existed shortly after the Big Bang, they consistently fail to produce voids as large as the Bootes void through normal gravitational processes alone. This means one of two things, and neither option is comforting. Either our understanding of how gravity works on cosmic scales is incomplete, or something else was involved in creating these regions of emptiness. Some scientists have proposed that we might be seeing the fingerprints of physics beyond the standard model, evidence of forces or particles that we haven't discovered yet, but that played crucial roles in shaping the large-scale structure of the universe. The temperature measurements from within the Bootes void add another layer of mystery to this cosmic puzzle. Space isn't actually empty, even in the most remote regions between galaxies. It's filled with a thin soup of hydrogen atoms, cosmic rays, and radiation left over from the Big Bang. In normal regions of space, this intergalactic medium maintains a relatively consistent temperature, but inside supervoids like the Bootes void, measurements show that this background material is significantly colder than it should be. This temperature difference isn't just an academic curiosity. It suggests that the physical conditions inside these voids are fundamentally different from the rest of the universe. The cooling effect might be caused by the expansion of space itself within the void, stretching the wavelengths of photons and reducing their energy. But this explanation requires the void to be expanding faster than the surrounding space, which brings us back to the question of what force could be driving such expansion. Some of the most cutting-edge theories in cosmology propose that supervoids might be regions where dark energy, the mysterious force driving the acceleration of cosmic expansion, behaves differently. If dark energy has properties that we don't yet understand, it might create pockets of space where its effects are amplified, leading to the formation of these enormous empty regions. This could mean that the Bootes void isn't just empty space, but a region where the fundamental forces shaping the universe operate according to different rules. The implications of this possibility extend far beyond academic cosmology. If dark energy can create regions where space expands at different rates, what happens when these regions interact with areas of normal space? Could the boundaries between these regions create cosmic shockwaves that could affect nearby galaxies? Could our own local group eventually encounter such a boundary, and what would happen to the Milky Way if it did? Recent observations using gravitational lensing have revealed another disturbing aspect of the Bootes void structure. When light from distant galaxies passes near the void, it should be bent by the gravitational field of any matter contained within the empty region. But the lensing patterns astronomers observe don't match what they would expect from a region that's simply empty of normal matter. Instead, the patterns suggest the presence of something with gravitational effects, but not the kind of gravitational signature we would expect from dark matter. This has led some researchers to propose that supervoids might contain exotic forms of matter or energy that we haven't discovered yet. Could there be cosmic structures made from particles that interact so weakly with normal matter that they're essentially invisible to all our detection methods? Could the void be filled with a form of matter that exists in dimensions we can't perceive directly? The search for answers has pushed astronomers to develop increasingly sophisticated detection methods. New telescopes are being designed specifically to study the properties of empty space, looking for subtle signals that might reveal what's hiding in regions like the Bootes void. These instruments are sensitive enough to detect individual photons that have traveled for hundreds of millions of years through these empty regions, carrying information about the conditions they encountered along the way. But perhaps the most unsettling discovery about supervoids has come from studying their effects on the cosmic microwave background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang that still permeates all of space. When this ancient light passes through regions like the Bootes void, it should be affected by the gravitational fields and physical conditions it encounters. The patterns astronomers observe in this radiation contain information about every large-scale structure the light has passed through on its journey to Earth. The problem is that the signatures left by supervoids in the cosmic microwave background don't match what our models predict. The cold spots created by these voids are larger and more pronounced than they should be, suggesting that the voids have stronger effects on passing radiation than can be explained by their gravitational fields alone. This discrepancy has led some scientists to propose that supervoids might be interacting with the fabric of spacetime itself in ways we don't understand. One of the most radical theories suggests that supervoids like the Bootes void might be regions where the universe is literally unraveling. According to this hypothesis, the quantum fields that give rise to matter and energy throughout the universe might be unstable in certain regions, causing them to decay into lower energy states and creating pockets of true vacuum. If this is correct, then these voids aren't just empty space, but regions where the fundamental structure of reality has collapsed. The mathematical models describing this scenario are deeply troubling. If vacuum decay is responsible for creating supervoids, then these regions could potentially expand, consuming normal space and converting it into more void. The boundaries of such expanding voids would move at the speed of light, giving no warning to any civilizations in their path. Everything in their way would simply cease to exist as the quantum fields supporting matter and energy collapsed. But even if this most extreme scenario is incorrect, the existence of supervoids raises profound questions about the stability and uniformity of the universe. We've discovered that space itself might be far more dynamic and variable than we ever imagined. Regions of the universe might operate according to different physical laws, contain different types of matter and energy, or even exist in different dimensional states. This variability has implications that extend beyond cosmology into the very foundations of physics. If the laws of nature can vary from region to region in the universe, then our local observations might not be representative of physics elsewhere. The constants we've measured for fundamental forces like gravity and electromagnetism might be specific to our cosmic neighborhood. In regions like the Bootes void, these constants might have completely different values, creating environments where matter and energy behave in ways we've never observed. The possibility that we're living in a universe of infinite variety, where different regions operate according to different physics, is both exciting and terrifying. It suggests that there might be forms of matter, energy, and even life that we couldn't survive contact with, existing in cosmic regions where the fundamental rules of existence are alien to everything we know. It means that as we develop the technology to explore deeper into space, we might encounter environments that are not just empty, but actively hostile to our form of existence. Recent studies of the motion of galaxies near supervoids have revealed another puzzling aspect of these cosmic anomalies. Instead of the random motions you might expect from galaxies scattered throughout empty space, the few galaxies within voids like the Bootes void show organized patterns of movement that suggest they're responding scale forces or to large structures that we can't directly observe. Some researchers have proposed that these motion patterns might be evidence of cosmic strings, one-dimensional defects in spacetime that could have formed during the early moments after the Big Bang. These theoretical objects would be incredibly thin, but could extend across the entire observable universe, creating gravitational effects that shape the motion of nearby matter. If cosmic strings exist within supervoids, they could explain both the emptiness of these regions and the organized motions of the few galaxies they contain. The search for cosmic strings and other exotic structures within supervoids has become one of the most active areas of research in modern cosmology. Scientists are developing new mathematical models that attempt to predict what signatures these objects would leave in observations of void regions. They're also designing new detection methods that might be sensitive enough to reveal the presence of structures made from forms of matter and energy that don't interact with light in conventional ways. But as our understanding of supervoids has grown, so has our awareness of how much we don't know about the universe we inhabit. Each new discovery about these empty regions raises more questions than it answers. Each new theoretical model requires the existence of physics beyond our current understanding. Each new observation reveals that the cosmos is stranger and more complex than we ever dared imagine. The Bootes void and other supervoids represent more than just empty regions of space. They're windows into the fundamental nature of reality itself, revealing aspects of the universe that challenge our most basic assumptions about existence. They force us to confront the possibility that we're living in a cosmos where emptiness might be more important than substance, where the absence of matter might be more significant than its presence. As we continue to study these cosmic mysteries, we're beginning to realize that understanding the universe might require us to understand nothingness itself. The empty regions between galaxies, once thought to be simply vacant space, might contain the keys to unlocking the deepest secrets of existence. The Booty's void and its cosmic siblings might be teaching us that in a universe where most of space is empty, the nature of that emptiness might be the most important thing we could ever hope to understand. The few galaxies that do exist within the Booty's void tell their own haunting story about life in cosmic isolation. These galactic orphans, scattered across hundreds of millions of light-years of emptiness, represent some of the loneliest objects in the known universe. When astronomers study these isolated galaxies, they discover something that should chill you to the bone. These galaxies are evolving differently than galaxies in normal regions of space. Without the gravitational interactions that normally occur between neighboring galaxies, these cosmic islands have developed in isolation for billions of years. They lack the spiral arms and complex structures that characterize galaxies in denser regions of the universe. Instead, they appear as dim, featureless ellipses, like cosmic ghosts fading into the darkness around them. Their star formation rates are dramatically lower than what we observe in normal galaxies, as if the emptiness around them has somehow drained their ability to create new suns. But here's what makes this even more unsettling. Computer simulations show that galaxies in such extreme isolation should have ceased forming stars entirely billions of years ago. The fact that some of these void galaxies still show signs of recent star formation suggests they're being sustained by something we can't detect. Some unknown source of matter or energy is keeping these cosmic lighthouses burning in the infinite darkness of the void. The implications become even more disturbing when you consider what this means for any potential life that might exist within these isolated galaxies. Civilizations that evolved in the Booty's void would develop in a universe that appears to contain almost nothing beyond their own galaxy. They would have no way of knowing that they exist in an anomalous region of space. To them, the universe would seem to be a single galaxy surrounded by infinite emptiness. Such civilizations would face unique challenges that we can barely comprehend. Without the resources that come from interacting with neighboring galaxies, they would be limited to whatever matter and energy exists within their own cosmic island. There would be no possibility of expansion beyond their home galaxy, no hope of contact with other civilizations, no way to escape if their galaxy began to die. They would be prisoners in a cosmic cell with walls made of nothingness itself. Recent observations using the most powerful radio telescopes on Earth have attempted to search for signs of artificial signals coming from within the Booty's void. The results of these searches have been both fascinating and terrifying. While no obvious signs of technology have been detected, the radio observations have revealed something else entirely. The void appears to be filled with a faint background hum, a subtle electromagnetic signature that doesn't match any known natural phenomenon. This mysterious radio emission is incredibly weak, requiring months of observation time with multiple telescopes to detect. But it's there, permeating the entire volume of the void like a cosmic whisper that we're only just beginning to hear. The signal shows patterns that some researchers describe as almost musical, with frequencies that rise and fall in ways that suggest underlying structure or organization. The most disturbing aspect of this radio emission is its uniformity. Unlike the chaotic radio noise that comes from normal regions of space filled with galaxies, stars, and cosmic phenomena, the signal from the Booty's void is remarkably consistent across its entire volume. It's as if the entire void is resonating like a vast musical instrument, producing harmonies that span hundreds of millions of light years. Some scientists have proposed that this radio emission might be evidence of quantum fluctuations in the vacuum of space itself. According to quantum mechanics, empty space isn't truly empty, but is constantly filled with virtual particles that pop into existence and annihilate each other. In a region as vast as the Booty's void, these quantum processes might be amplified to the point where they become detectable as radio waves. But other researchers have suggested more exotic explanations. What if the radio emission is evidence of extra dimensions of space that are more accessible within the void? What if it's the signature of parallel universes bleeding through into our own reality? What if it's the death song of a universe that once existed in this region of space but has since been erased from existence? The temperature profile of the radio emission adds another layer of mystery to this cosmic puzzle. Different frequencies of the signal show different temperature signatures, creating a spectrum that doesn't match what we would expect from any known physical process. The pattern suggests that whatever is producing this emission operates according to physics that we haven't discovered yet. Advanced computer models attempting to explain the radio emission have led scientists into some of the most speculative territory in modern physics. Some theories propose that the Bootes void might be a region where the membrane of our universe has been damaged, allowing energy from higher dimensional spaces to leak through. Others suggest that the void might be filled with exotic matter that exists in a state of quantum superposition, constantly fluctuating between existence and non-existence. The search for gravitational wave signals from the Bootes void has yielded equally puzzling results. Gravitational waves are ripples in the fabric of space-time itself, created when massive objects accelerate through space. The detectors designed to observe these waves are sensitive enough to pick up collisions between black holes occurring billions of light-years away. When these instruments are pointed toward the Bootes void, they detect something that shouldn't be there. Instead of the random gravitational wave background that characterizes normal regions of space, the void produces a subtle but persistent gravitational wave signal with a remarkably regular pattern. The waves pulse with a rhythm that repeats every few hours, as if something within the void is breathing with a cosmic heartbeat that spans hundreds of millions of light years. The source of these gravitational waves remains one of the greatest mysteries in modern astronomy. There are no known objects within the void massive enough to produce such signals through conventional means. The regular pattern rules out random events like black hole mergers or stellar explosions. Instead, the waves suggest the presence of some vast structure or process that we can't observe directly, but that continuously disturbs the fabric of space-time itself. Some of the most radical theories propose that the gravitational waves might be evidence of cosmic inflation occurring within the void. According to this hypothesis, the region might be undergoing its own miniature version of the rapid expansion that occurred throughout the universe during the first moments after the Big Bang. If this is correct, then the Bootes void isn't just empty space, but a region where the universe is actively expanding faster than anywhere else, stretching the fabric of reality to its breaking point. The implications of runaway cosmic inflation within a supervoid are staggering. Such a process could potentially tear holes in space-time itself, creating doorways to other dimensions or even other universes. The gravitational waves we detect might be the signatures of reality being stretched and twisted beyond its normal limits, creating conditions that exist nowhere else in the observable cosmos. But perhaps the most unsettling discovery about the Bootes void comes from studying how light behaves as it passes through this region of space. When astronomers observe distant galaxies located behind the void, they notice something that violates our understanding of how light propagates through empty space. The light appears to be losing energy as it crosses the void, arriving dimmer and redder than it should be after accounting for the normal expansion of the universe. This anomalous dimming suggests that space within the Bootes void has different optical properties than normal space. Light passing through the void interacts with something that absorbs or scatters photons in ways that we've never observed before. The effect is subtle but consistent, appearing in observations of every distant object viewed through the void. The mathematical models attempting to explain this optical anomaly have led scientists to propose some truly mind-bending possibilities. What if the void is filled with a form of dark matter that interacts weakly with photons, causing them to lose energy through previously unknown processes? What if the vacuum of space itself has different properties within the void, causing light to propagate according to modified laws of physics? Some researchers have suggested that the optical effects might be evidence of additional spatial dimensions that are more accessible within supervoids. According to certain theories in theoretical physics, our three-dimensional space might be embedded within higher dimensional spaces that normally remain hidden from our observations. If the Bootes void represents a region where these extra dimensions are partially exposed, light passing through might leak energy into these hidden dimensions, causing the dimming effect we observe. The study of how different wavelengths of light are affected as they pass through the void has revealed even more puzzling details. Blue light appears to be absorbed more strongly than red light, creating a selective dimming effect that changes the colors of distant objects viewed through the void. This wavelength-dependent absorption doesn't match any known physical process, suggesting that whatever fills the void interacts with electromagnetic radiation in ways that challenge our fundamental understanding of light itself. Recent experiments using quantum entanglement have attempted to probe the properties of space within the Bootes void in ways that would be impossible with conventional observations. By creating entangled photon pairs and sending one photon toward the void while keeping the other in Earth-based laboratories, scientists hope to detect whether the quantum properties of space are different within the empty region. The preliminary results of these quantum experiments have been deeply disturbing. The entangled photons that pass through or near the void appear to lose their quantum coherence faster than they should, as if the act of traversing this region of space breaks the delicate quantum connections that bind them to their partners. This suggests that the void might be filled with some form of quantum noise or interference that disrupts the fundamental quantum mechanical processes that govern reality at its most basic level. If the quantum properties of space are indeed different within supervoids like the Bootes void, the implications extend far beyond academic physics. Quantum mechanics underlies all of chemistry and biology, determining how atoms bond together to form molecules and how complex structures like DNA can store and transmit information. A region of space where quantum mechanics operates differently might be fundamentally incompatible with the chemical processes that make life possible. The possibility that different regions of the universe might have different quantum mechanical properties forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth about our place in the cosmos. We might be living in a rare pocket of space where the laws of physics happen to allow for the existence of complex matter and life. The vast majority of the universe, represented by regions like the Bootes void, might operate according to physical laws that would instantly destroy any matter or energy from our local region of space. This cosmic segregation of different physical regimes might explain why the universe appears to be so precisely fine-tuned for life. We observe physical constants that seem perfectly calibrated to allow for the existence of stars, planets, and biological processes, not because the entire universe has these properties, but because we can only exist in regions where these properties happen to occur. The empty voids that dominate cosmic space might represent regions where the fundamental constants have values that make our kind of matter and energy impossible. The discovery that supervoids might contain different physics has profound implications for our search for extraterrestrial life and intelligence. If most of the universe consists of regions where our kind of chemistry cannot exist, then life as we know it might be confined to the small pockets of space where normal matter can form stable structures. This could explain why the universe appears so empty and why we haven't detected obvious of stars and planets signs of technological civilizations, despite the vast number that must exist throughout the cosmos. But it also raises the terrifying possibility that there might be forms of life and intelligence adapted to the exotic physics that govern supervoids. Such beings would be composed of matter and energy that we cannot directly observe, operating according to physical laws that we haven't discovered, and potentially possessing capabilities that would seem magical or impossible by our standards. The boundaries between normal space and supervoids might represent more than just transitions between different densities of matter. They might be interfaces between different versions of reality itself, regions where the fundamental nature of existence changes in ways that we can barely comprehend. Crossing such a boundary might be like traveling from one universe to another, entering a realm where the basic rules of physics are completely foreign to everything we know. As our detection methods become more sophisticated and our theoretical understanding advances, we're beginning to realize that the Bootes void and other supervoids might be windows into aspects of reality that we never suspected existed. They represent cosmic laboratories where we can study physics under conditions that are impossible to recreate on Earth, revealing new laws of nature that might apply throughout most of the universe. The ongoing research into these cosmic mysteries is pushing the boundaries of human knowledge in ways that parallel the great scientific revolutions of the past. Just as the discovery that Earth orbits the Sun forced us to reconsider our place in the solar system, and the realization that our galaxy is one of billions challenged our understanding of cosmic scale. The study of supervoids is revealing that our local region of space might be a tiny anomaly in a universe that operates according to principles we're only beginning to glimpse. The Bootes void stands as a monument to the vastness of our ignorance about the cosmos we inhabit. Its emptiness mocks our attempts to understand the universe through the narrow lens of our local observations. Its silence challenges our assumptions about what space should contain and how reality should behave. And its very existence reminds us that we are cosmic provincials, trying to understand infinite complexity from our tiny vantage point in an obscure corner of an ordinary galaxy. Yet this monument to cosmic mystery also represents humanity's greatest adventure. Every new observation of the void brings us closer to understanding the true nature of reality. Every theoretical breakthrough opens new possibilities for comprehending our place in existence. Every technological advance in detection methods reveals new aspects of the cosmic puzzle we're trying to solve. The quest to understand what hides inside the Bootes void is ultimately a quest to understand ourselves and our relationship to the universe that created us. The answers we discover may challenge everything we thought we knew about existence, but they will also expand our consciousness in ways that we cannot yet imagine. The mathematical models attempting to explain the void's behavior have led researchers into territory that challenges the very foundations of physics. When scientists run simulations of cosmic evolution starting from conditions just after the Big Bang, they discover something profoundly disturbing. No combination of known forces and particles can produce a region as empty as the Bootes void through natural processes alone. This computational impossibility has forced cosmologists to consider explanations that venture into the realm of speculative physics. Some models suggest that the void might be maintained by a form of repulsive gravity, a hypothetical force that pushes matter away rather than attracting it. This anti-gravitational field would need to operate on scales of hundreds of millions of light-years while remaining completely invisible to our current detection methods. The energy requirements for such a phenomenon are staggering beyond comprehension. To maintain a repulsive field across the entire volume of the Bootes void would require more energy than is contained in all the visible matter in the observable universe. This has led some researchers to propose that the void might be connected to sources of energy that exist outside our normal three-dimensional space, drawing power from dimensions that remain hidden from our observations. But the mystery deepens when you examine the void's edges. The transition zones between the empty region and normal space don't show the gradual density changes you would expect from natural cosmic evolution. Instead, there appear to be sharp boundaries where the properties of space change abruptly, like crossing from one universe into another. These boundary regions exhibit gravitational anomalies that suggest the presence of exotic matter with negative mass, a theoretical substance that would repel normal matter while being repelled by it in return. The discovery of these boundary anomalies has triggered intense research into the possibility that supervoids might be cosmic scars left behind by collisions between different regions of spacetime. According to some theories, our universe might be one of many bubble universes floating in a higher dimensional space called the multiverse. If two such bubble universes collided in the distant past, the impact zone might appear as a supervoid in both universes, a region where the normal laws of physics break down due to the violence of the collision. Recent observations using gravitational wave detectors have revealed something that supports this collision hypothesis, while simultaneously making it more terrifying. The background gravitational wave signal from the direction of the Bootes void shows patterns that match theoretical predictions for spacetime that has been severely damaged by cosmic trauma. The fabric of reality itself appears to be scarred in this region, creating persistent ripples that continue to propagate billions of years after the initial damage occurred. These gravitational scars might explain why the void appears to be actively maintained rather than gradually filling in with matter over cosmic time. If the collision that created the void also damaged the fundamental structure of space-time, it might have created a self-sustaining wound that prevents normal matter from entering the region. The void would then represent a piece of broken universe, a cosmic fossil preserving evidence of an unimaginable catastrophe that occurred in the early history of the cosmos. The implications of living in a universe that bears such scars are deeply unsettling. If cosmic collisions can create regions where the laws of physics break down, what happens when such regions expand or interact with areas of normal space? Computer simulations suggest that the boundaries of damaged spacetime might be unstable, potentially growing larger over cosmic timescales and eventually consuming regions where normal matter can exist. This possibility has led some cosmologists to propose that supervoids supervoids like the Bootes void might represent an existential threat to life in the universe. If these regions continue to expand, they could eventually encompass areas of normal space, destroying everything in their path as they convert stable matter into the exotic states that characterize void regions. The expansion would occur at the speed of light, giving no warning to civilizations in its path. The search for evidence of void expansion has become one of the most urgent research priorities in modern astronomy. Scientists are using the most precise measurement techniques available to monitor the boundaries of known supervoids, looking for any signs that these regions are growing larger. The results so far have been inconclusive, with some measurements suggesting slight expansion while others show no change within the margins of measurement error. But even if supervoids aren't actively expanding, their existence raises profound questions about the stability of our local region of space. The same cosmic processes that created the Bootes void might still be operating elsewhere in the universe, potentially creating new voids or destabilizing existing regions of normal space. We might be living in a cosmos where the comfortable physics that allow for stars, planets, and life represent a temporary equilibrium that could be disrupted without warning. The study of void formation has also revealed disturbing correlations with the distribution of dark matter throughout the universe. Dark matter, the invisible substance that makes up most of the universe's mass, appears to avoid supervoids even more strongly than normal matter does. This suggests that whatever process created these empty regions affects both visible and invisible matter, indicating that it operates at the most fundamental levels of reality. Advanced computer models of dark matter distribution show that the halos of this invisible substance that should surround every galaxy are completely absent within supervoids. It's as if some force has systematically removed all forms of matter and energy from these regions, leaving behind spaces that are empty at every level we can measure. This wholesale evacuation of matter suggests that void formation involves physics that we haven't discovered yet, processes that can manipulate the fundamental constituents of reality. The absence of dark matter within voids has led to some of the most exotic theories in modern cosmology. Some researchers propose that supervoids might be regions where the Higgs field, the quantum field that gives mass to all particles, has collapsed to a lower energy state. In such regions, particles would behave differently, potentially losing their mass entirely and becoming unable to form the stable structures we observe in normal space. If the Higgs field has indeed collapsed within supervoids, these regions would represent pockets of space where the fundamental nature of matter is completely different from what we observe locally. Particles entering such regions from normal space would be immediately transformed, losing their mass and becoming pure energy. This would explain why voids remain empty despite being surrounded by matter that should gradually flow into them under the influence of gravity. The possibility of Higgs field collapse within supervoids raises terrifying questions about the stability of our own local region of space. The Higgs field throughout the universe might exist in a metastable state, meaning it appears stable but could potentially collapse to a lower energy configuration under the right conditions. If such a collapse began anywhere in the universe, it would spread outward at the speed of light, converting all matter it encountered into massless particles and effectively ending the existence of everything we know. Recent experiments at particle accelerators have attempted to probe the stability of the Higgs field by creating conditions similar to those that might exist at the boundaries of supervoids. These experiments operate at energy levels that approach the fundamental limits of what's possible with current technology, recreating the extreme conditions that existed during the first moments after the Big Bang. The results have been both fascinating and deeply concerning. The particle collision data reveals signatures that match theoretical predictions for Higgs field instabilities, suggesting that the field that gives mass to matter might indeed be more fragile than previously thought. Under certain conditions, the field appears to fluctuate in ways that could potentially trigger the kind of collapse that might create regions like the Bootes void. These laboratory observations provide the first direct evidence that the physics responsible for supervoid formation might be accessible to experimental study, but the most disturbing aspect of these experiments is what they reveal about the triggers for field collapse. The data suggests that Higgs field instabilities can be triggered by gravitational effects that occur naturally in regions of space where matter densities reach certain critical values. This means that the formation of large-scale structures in the universe, the very process that creates galaxies and galaxy clusters, might occasionally create conditions that lead to void formation. If this interpretation is correct, then supervoids aren't ancient relics from the early universe, but ongoing consequences of cosmic evolution. New voids might be forming throughout the cosmos as the universe continues to evolve and matter continues to collapse into increasingly dense structures. The Bootes void and other known supervoids might represent just the first wave of a cosmic transformation that will eventually convert most of the universe into regions of collapsed space-time. The timeline for such a transformation is uncertain, but theoretical models suggest that void formation might accelerate as the universe ages and matter becomes more concentrated in galaxy clusters. The increasing density of these clusters could trigger cascading Higgs field collapses that spread throughout the cosmic web, gradually converting normal space into the exotic physics that characterize supervoids. This scenario paints a picture of a universe in the early stages of a fundamental phase transition, slowly transforming from a cosmos where normal matter can exist into one dominated by regions of collapsed fields and exotic physics. We might be living during a brief window in cosmic history when stable matter is possible, before the universe completes its transformation into something completely alien to our current understanding. The search for signs of this cosmic transformation has become one of the most important research programs in modern astronomy. Scientists are monitoring the boundaries between normal space and known supervoids, looking for evidence of field collapse propagating outward from existing void regions. They're also studying the formation of new large-scale structures, watching for signs that matter concentrations are reaching the critical densities that might trigger new void formation. Early results from these monitoring programs have detected subtle changes in the cosmic web that might represent the beginning stages of new void formation. Regions of space that showed normal matter distributions just decades ago now appear to be developing the early signatures of field instabilities. These changes occur on timescales that are incredibly rapid by cosmic standards, suggesting that once void formation begins, it proceeds much faster than normal astronomical processes. The implications for human civilization are staggering. If supervoid formation is an ongoing process that's accelerating throughout the universe, then our local region of space might eventually be affected by the expanding boundaries of existing voids or the formation of new ones. The timescales involved are difficult to predict, but some models suggest that significant changes could occur within millions or billions of years, timeframes that are short compared to the age of the universe, but long compared to human history. The possibility that we're living in a universe undergoing fundamental transformation has forced scientists to reconsider many assumptions about cosmic evolution and the long-term future of matter and energy. Traditional models assumed that the universe would continue expanding and cooling while maintaining the same basic physical properties throughout space. But the discovery of supervoids suggests that cosmic evolution might involve phase transitions that fundamentally alter the nature of reality itself. These phase transitions might be cyclic, with the universe periodically transforming between different states of matter and energy. Supervoids might represent regions that have already completed one phase of this transformation, while areas of normal space await their turn to undergo the change. If this cyclical model is correct, then the universe might be vastly older and more complex than we currently understand, having undergone multiple transformations that created the diverse physics we observe in different cosmic regions. The study of how these phase transitions propagate through space has revealed another deeply unsettling aspect of supervoid physics. The boundaries between different phases don't appear to be fixed, but seem to move through space at velocities that can approach significant fractions of the speed of light. This means that the transition from normal space to void physics could potentially reach our local region much sooner than expected based on simple distance calculations. Advanced computer simulations of phase transition propagation show that the process creates shock waves in space-time that precede the actual transformation. These gravitational shock waves would be detectable using current technology, potentially providing warning of an approaching phase boundary. But the warning time would be limited, possibly only centuries or millennia before the arrival of physics that would make our current form of matter and energy impossible to maintain. The detection of such warning signals has become a priority for gravitational wave observatories around the world. Scientists have developed new analysis techniques specifically designed to identify the signatures of approaching phase transitions in the gravitational wave background. These methods are sensitive enough to detect phase boundaries that might still be millions of light years away, providing the maximum possible warning time for any cosmic transformations heading toward our region of space. But even with advanced warning, there would be little that human civilization could do to protect itself from an approaching region of exotic physics. The transformation would affect the fundamental nature of matter and energy, making it impossible for any structure based on normal atomic physics to survive the transition. Entire galaxies would be converted into forms of matter and energy that we can barely comprehend, let alone interact with or survive within. This possibility has led some researchers to investigate whether it might be possible to artificially stabilize local regions of space against phase transitions. Theoretical studies suggest that sufficiently advanced technology might be able to create protective fields that maintain normal physics even when surrounded by regions of transformed spacetime. But the energy requirements for such protection would be enormous, potentially requiring the entire output of multiple stars to maintain stability across even small regions of space. The concept of cosmic phase transitions has also opened new possibilities for understanding the nature of dark energy, the mysterious force driving the accelerating expansion of the universe. Some models suggest that dark energy might be the driving force behind phase transitions, gradually converting the universe from one state to another through processes that we observe as cosmic acceleration. If this is correct, then the increasing dominance of dark energy over cosmic time might be preparing the universe for a fundamental transformation that will affect every region of space. The relationship between dark energy and supervoid formation has become one of the most active areas of research in theoretical cosmology. Scientists are developing new mathematical models that attempt to describe how dark energy might trigger the kind of field collapses that create empty regions like the Bootes void. These models predict that the rate of void formation should increase as dark energy becomes more dominant, leading to an accelerating conversion of normal space into regions of exotic physics. Observational tests of these theories are extremely challenging because they require monitoring cosmic changes that occur over timescales much longer than human history, but advances in precision measurement techniques are beginning to make such tests possible. By comparing detailed maps of the cosmic web made decades apart, astronomers can search for evidence of new void formation or the expansion of existing empty regions. The preliminary results of these long-term monitoring programs have detected changes in the large-scale structure of the universe that match some predictions of phase transition models. Regions that appeared to contain normal matter distributions in earlier surveys now show signs of the density evacuations that characterize the early stages of void formation. These changes are subtle but consistent, suggesting that the universe might indeed be undergoing the kind of fundamental transformation that could eventually affect every region of space. The discovery phase transitions might involve ongoing that cosmic evolution implications for our understanding of the universe's ultimate fate. Traditional models predicted a future of gradual expansion and cooling, with matter slowly decaying over unimaginable timescales. But if phase transitions are an integral part of cosmic evolution, the universe's future might involve periodic transformations that completely alter the nature of matter, energy, and spacetime itself. These transformations could create a cosmos that cycles between different states of physics, each supporting different forms of structure and potentially different types of consciousness. The supervoids we observe today might represent glimpses of future states that the entire universe will eventually achieve, while our local region of normal space might be a relic of an earlier phase that's gradually being replaced by more exotic forms of reality. The possibility that consciousness and life might exist in forms adapted to the physics of supervoids has become an increasingly important topic in astrobiology and If most search for extraterrestrial intelligence of the universe's volume consists of regions where normal matter cannot exist, then the majority of cosmic intelligence might be based on forms of matter and energy that we cannot detect or understand using current methods. Such exotic forms of life might have capabilities that seem magical by our standards, operating according to physical laws that allow for faster-than-light communication, manipulation of space-time, or access to energy sources that we cannot imagine. They might view regions of normal space like our local cosmic neighborhood as hostile environments where their kind of matter cannot survive, just as we view supervoids as regions where our chemistry becomes impossible. The search for signatures of exotic intelligence within supervoids has begun using the most sensitive detection methods available to modern science. Radio telescopes scan void regions for organized signals that might represent communication between civilizations adapted to exotic physics. Gravitational wave detectors monitor empty regions for patterns that might indicate large-scale engineering projects or the movement of massive structures through regions of transformed space-time. While no definitive signs of exotic intelligence have been detected, the search has revealed subtle patterns in the emissions from supervoids that are difficult to explain through known natural processes. These patterns show the kind of organization and complexity that might be expected from technological processes, but they operate according to principles that we don't understand. Whether they represent natural phenomena that we haven't discovered yet or evidence of intelligence based on exotic physics remains one of the greatest mysteries in modern astronomy. The implications of discovering intelligence adapted to the physics of supervoids would fundamentally change our understanding of life in the universe. It would mean that consciousness and technology are not limited to the narrow range of physical conditions that support our kind of chemistry. Instead, intelligence might be a cosmic principle that can emerge and thrive under any stable set of physical laws, regardless of how alien those laws might seem to us. Such a discovery would also raise profound questions about communication and interaction between different forms of intelligence based on incompatible physics. How could civilizations that exist in normal space establish contact with beings that thrive in regions where our matter cannot survive? What technologies might be required to bridge the gap between different types of reality, and what would such contact mean for the future of human civilization? The quest to understand what hides inside the Booty's void has evolved from a simple astronomical puzzle into an exploration of the fundamental nature of reality itself. Each new discovery about these cosmic emptiness regions reveals aspects of the universe that challenge our most basic assumptions about existence. The void's silence speaks volumes about the limitations of our current understanding and the vast mysteries that remain to be uncovered in our cosmic neighborhood. As our detection methods become more sophisticated and our theoretical frameworks expand to accommodate new possibilities, we're beginning to glimpse the true complexity of the universe we inhabit. The Booty's void and other supervoids represent more than just empty regions of space. They are cosmic laboratories where we can study physics under conditions that are impossible to recreate on Earth, windows into aspects of reality that might dominate most of the universe's volume, and potentially homes to forms of intelligence that operate according to principles we've never imagined. The ongoing research into these mysterious regions is pushing human knowledge toward a new understanding of cosmic reality, one that acknowledges the vast diversity of physical conditions and the possibility that our local experience represents just one small facet of infinite cosmic complexity. The answers we discover will inevitably challenge everything we thought we knew about existence, while opening pathways to comprehension that we cannot yet imagine. The Booty's void stands as both a monument to our cosmic ignorance and a gateway to understanding that transcends the limitations of our earthbound perspective. Its emptiness contains secrets that may hold the keys to unlocking the deepest mysteries of existence, while its silence challenges us to develop new ways of listening to the universe's most subtle whispers. In confronting the void, we confront the ultimate questions about reality itself and our place within the infinite complexity of cosmic existence. But what truly makes the Booty's void terrifying isn't just its emptiness or the exotic physics that might govern its interior. It's the realization that this cosmic anomaly might be expanding, actively consuming normal space and converting it into more nothingness. Recent observations have detected something that should make every astronomer lose sleep. The galaxies at the edges of the void aren't just sitting quietly at the boundaries. They're moving away from the void's interior faster than the expansion of the universe alone can explain. This accelerated recession suggests that space within the Booty's void is expanding at a different rate than the space around it. The void isn't just empty, it's actively pushing against the fabric of reality itself, creating a bubble of altered space-time that grows larger with each passing moment. If this expansion continues unchecked, the void could eventually encompass regions of normal space, including areas that currently contain thriving galaxies and potentially even life-bearing worlds. The mathematical models describing this expansion are deeply disturbing. Unlike the gentle, uniform expansion that characterizes the universe as a whole, the growth of supervoids appears to be accelerating. The rate of expansion increases over time, suggesting that whatever force drives this phenomenon becomes stronger as the void grows larger. This positive feedback loop could theoretically continue until the void consumes vast regions of the observable universe. computer simulations tracking the future evolution of the Bootes void paint scenarios that range from merely unsettling to absolutely catastrophic. In the most conservative models, the void continues its gradual expansion for billions of years, slowly consuming nearby galaxies and converting them into the mysterious form of matter and energy that characterizes the void's interior. But in more aggressive scenarios, the expansion accelerates exponentially, creating a cosmic disaster that could affect significant portions of the universe within mere millions of years. The expansion mechanism itself remains one of the greatest puzzles in modern cosmology. Traditional physics provides no known force that could drive such large-scale repulsion of matter and energy. The effect appears to be similar to cosmic inflation, the rapid expansion that occurred during the first moments after the Big Bang, but operating on a localized scale and billions of years after inflation should have ended throughout the universe. Some researchers have proposed that supervoids might be regions where inflation never actually stopped. According to this theory, the Bootes void represents a pocket of space that remained connected to the inflationary field that drove the universe's initial expansion. If this connection persists, the void would continue inflating while the surrounding space follows normal expansion rules, creating the accelerated growth that observations seem to confirm. But this explanation raises even more troubling questions. If inflation can persist in isolated regions of space, what prevents it from restarting throughout the universe? The same quantum fluctuations that might maintain inflation within the Bootes void could theoretically trigger new inflationary episodes anywhere in the cosmos. We might be living in a universe where inflation represents an ongoing threat, capable of erupting without warning and consuming vast regions of normal space. The search for other expanding voids has become a priority for astronomers worldwide. If the Bootes void is indeed growing, there should be other examples of this phenomenon scattered throughout the observable universe. Recent surveys using the most advanced telescopes available have identified several candidate regions that show similar expansion signatures, suggesting that we might be witnessing the early stages of a cosmic transformation that could eventually affect the entire universe. These newly discovered expanding voids show a disturbing pattern in their distribution. They appear to be connected by tendrils of dark matter that stretch across hundreds of millions of light years, forming a network of emptiness that spans significant portions of the cosmic web. This interconnected structure suggests that void expansion might not be a random phenomenon but part of a coordinated process that operates on the largest scales imaginable. The implications of a connected network of expanding voids are staggering. If these regions are linked by channels of exotic matter or energy, they might be able to coordinate their expansion, creating a unified front that systematically converts normal space into void physics. Such coordination would require some form of information transfer across cosmic distances, implying the existence of communication mechanisms that operate faster than light, or through dimensions that remain hidden from our observations. Recent studies of the cosmic microwave background radiation have revealed subtle patterns that might be signatures of this void network. The ancient light that reaches us from the early universe shows temperature variations that correlate with the positions of known supervoids, but the correlations extend far beyond what current models predict. The patterns suggest that the influence of voids might extend much further into normal space than previously thought, creating effects that permeate the entire cosmic web. These extended correlations have led some cosmologists to propose that supervoids might be manifestations of a fundamental instability in the fabric of spacetime itself. According to this theory, the universe exists in a metastable state that appears stable over short timescales but is gradually transitioning toward a configuration dominated by void physics. The transition occurs through the formation and expansion of supervoids, which serve as nucleation sites for the new phase of cosmic evolution. If this phase transition theory is correct, then the universe we observe today represents only a temporary configuration in an ongoing transformation that will eventually convert all of normal space into regions governed by exotic physics. The familiar matter and energy that make up stars, planets, and life would become impossible to maintain as the universe completes its transition to the new phase. Everything we know would simply cease to exist in any recognizable form. The timescales for such a cosmic phase transition are uncertain, but some models suggest that the process could accelerate dramatically once a critical threshold of void formation is reached. If enough of the universe becomes dominated by void physics, the remaining regions of normal space might become unstable, triggering a cascade of rapid transformation that spreads throughout the cosmos at the speed of light. This possibility has motivated intense research into methods for detecting the early stages of phase transitions before they reach our local region of space. Advanced gravitational wave detectors are being designed specifically to monitor the cosmic web for signs of approaching void boundaries or the formation of new empty regions. These instruments would provide the earliest possible warning of any phase transition effects heading toward our galactic neighborhood. The detection methods being developed are incredibly sensitive, capable of measuring space-time distortions that are smaller than the width of atomic nuclei. They can identify the gravitational signatures of void formation occurring billions of light-years away, potentially providing thousands of years of advance warning before any exotic physics reaches our solar system. But even with such early detection, there would be little that human civilization could do to protect itself from a cosmic phase transition. The energy scales involved in maintaining normal physics against an expanding void boundary would require technology that exceeds our current capabilities by unimaginable margins. Theoretical calculations suggest that protecting even a single star system would require harnessing the entire energy output of multiple galaxies, creating artificial fields strong enough to prevent the collapse of normal matter and energy into exotic void states. Some researchers have proposed that sufficiently advanced civilizations might be able to create protective bubbles of normal space within expanding void regions. These bubbles would need to be maintained by continuous energy input from sources that remain stable even as the surrounding physics transforms. The technology required would represent a level of cosmic engineering that approaches the manipulation of fundamental forces themselves. But the possibility of protective bubbles raises disturbing questions about what such isolation would mean for any civilizations trapped within them. Cut off from the rest of the universe by regions of incompatible physics, these isolated pockets of normal space would become cosmic islands with no possibility of expansion or contact with other survivors. They would be forced to maintain their artificial environments indefinitely, knowing that any failure of their protective systems would result in immediate annihilation. The psychological impact of such isolation might be as devastating as the physical threat. Imagine being part of a civilization that knows it represents one of the last remnants of normal matter in a universe that has been transformed into something completely alien. The knowledge that the vast majority of cosmic space has become hostile to your very existence would create existential pressures that no species has ever been forced to confront. Recent philosophical discussions about void expansion have explored whether consciousness itself might be fundamentally tied to the physics of normal space. If our thoughts and awareness depend on the specific properties of matter and energy that exist in our local cosmic environment, then regions governed by void physics might be incapable of supporting any form of consciousness that we could recognize or relate to. This possibility suggests that void expansion might represent more than just a physical transformation of the universe. It could be the gradual elimination of consciousness itself from cosmic scales, leaving behind a universe that is not only empty of matter, but devoid of any form of awareness or intelligence. The expanding voids would then represent regions of cosmic death in the most fundamental sense, areas where the very possibility of thought and experience has been extinguished. But some theorists have proposed even more unsettling alternatives. What if the physics that governs supervoids can support forms of consciousness that are completely alien to our experience? What if void expansion represents not the death of awareness, but its transformation into something we cannot comprehend or communicate with? The expanding regions might be filling with forms of intelligence based on exotic matter and energy, creating a universe where consciousness exists but operates according to principles that make contact impossible. The search for signs of exotic consciousness within supervoids has pushed the boundaries of what we consider valid scientific investigation. How do you detect intelligence that might be based on forms of matter and energy that don't interact with our instruments in any measurable way? How do you recognize patterns of organization and complexity that operate according to physical laws we haven't discovered? Some researchers have proposed that exotic intelligence might reveal itself through its effects on the large-scale structure of supervoids. If conscious beings exist within these regions, they might engage in engineering projects that modify the properties of space itself, creating signatures that we could detect through careful analysis of gravitational fields and electromagnetic emissions. The challenge is distinguishing between natural phenomena and artificial modifications when both operate according to physics we don't understand. Advanced computer algorithms have been developed to search for patterns in void observations that might indicate purposeful modification or organization. These programs analyze data from multiple types of sensors, looking for correlations and structures that are too complex or organized to be explained by random natural processes. While no definitive signs of exotic intelligence have been identified, the algorithms have detected patterns that remain unexplained by current theoretical models. The possibility that we might be sharing the universe with forms of consciousness that we cannot directly observe or interact with has profound implications for how we understand our place in cosmic evolution. If exotic intelligence exists within supervoids, then the expansion of these regions might represent not cosmic death, but cosmic transformation, the conversion of the universe from one type of consciousness to another. Such a transformation would be invisible to us until it directly affected our local region of space. We might remain completely unaware that the universe around us is being systematically converted to support forms of awareness that we cannot detect or comprehend. The expanding voids might be filled with civilizations and cultures that are as rich and complex as our own, but based on physics that makes them forever inaccessible to our observations. The realization that we might be living in a universe undergoing fundamental transformation has forced scientists to reconsider many assumptions about the future of human civilization and the long-term prospects for life in the cosmos. Traditional models assumed that the universe would remain essentially unchanged over timescales relevant to the development of advanced technology and space exploration, but if cosmic phase transitions are an ongoing process, then the environment for life and consciousness might be changing in ways that could affect the ultimate fate of any species. This uncertainty has motivated new research programs focused on understanding the relationship between consciousness and physical law. If awareness depends on specific properties of matter and energy that might not persist throughout cosmic evolution, then the development of intelligence might be limited to brief windows in cosmic history when the right physical conditions happen to exist. Alternatively, consciousness might be more fundamental than current theories suggest, capable of adapting to different physical environments and potentially even surviving transitions between different types of physics. If awareness is truly universal, then the expansion of supervoids might not represent the end of consciousness, but its evolution into forms that transcend our current understanding of what it means to think and experience. The study of how consciousness might adapt to exotic physics has become one of the most speculative areas of research in modern science. Theoretical models attempt to describe how awareness might function in regions where normal matter cannot exist, exploring whether consciousness could be based on quantum fields, gravitational waves, or even more fundamental aspects of space-time itself. These investigations push the boundaries between science and philosophy, addressing questions about the nature of mind and experience that have puzzled thinkers for millennia. The discovery of supervoids has transformed these abstract philosophical problems into concrete scientific questions with potentially testable implications for understanding our cosmic environment. The ongoing expansion of the Bootes void and other supervoids represents more than just an astronomical curiosity. It might be evidence of the most significant transformation in the history of the universe, a phase transition that will determine the ultimate fate of matter, energy, and consciousness on cosmic scales. Whether this transformation represents cosmic death or cosmic evolution remains one of the most important unanswered questions in modern science. As our detection methods become more sophisticated and our theoretical understanding advances, we're beginning to glimpse the true scope of the changes occurring throughout the universe. The empty regions that once seemed like mere gaps in the cosmic web now appear to be active participants in a transformation that could reshape reality itself. The Bootes void stands as a window into this cosmic transformation, offering us a glimpse of what the universe might become as it completes its evolution toward whatever final state awaits. Whether that state will be compatible with our continued existence or will require forms of consciousness and intelligence that we cannot yet imagine remains to be discovered. The void's expansion continues, carrying with it the potential to answer some of the deepest questions about existence while simultaneously threatening to eliminate everything we know and understand about reality. In studying this cosmic mystery, we confront both our greatest opportunity for understanding the universe and our most profound existential challenge. The race to comprehend the Bootes void and its implications has become more than just scientific curiosity. It represents humanity's attempt to understand our place in a cosmos that might be undergoing the most fundamental transformation possible, one that could determine whether consciousness and intelligence have any long-term future in the universe, or whether they represent only brief anomalies in an ongoing cosmic evolution towards something completely beyond our current comprehension. But the most chilling aspect of our investigation into the Bootes void emerges when we examine what happens to light itself as it attempts to traverse this cosmic wasteland. When astronomers point their most powerful telescopes toward distant galaxies located directly behind the void, they observe something that violates everything we thought we understood about how photons behave in empty space. The light doesn't just dim slightly as it crosses hundreds of millions of light years of nothingness. Instead, it undergoes systematic changes that suggest the void is actively interacting with electromagnetic radiation in ways that should be impossible. The photons that manage to cross the void arrive at our telescopes carrying information that tells a story of their journey through space where the normal rules of physics appear to be suspended. Spectroscopic analysis reveals that these light waves have been stretched and compressed in patterns that don't match any known natural phenomenon. It's as if the void itself is breathing, expanding and contracting in rhythmic cycles that modulate passing radiation like a cosmic lung-drawing breath across hundreds of millions of years. What makes this even more disturbing is the discovery that different wavelengths of light are affected differently by their passage through the void. Blue light experiences more dramatic alterations than red light, creating a filtering effect that changes the apparent colors of objects viewed through the empty region. This selective modification suggests that whatever fills the void interacts with electromagnetic radiation based on energy levels, implying the presence of quantum mechanical processes operating on scales that dwarf anything we've observed in normal space. The mathematical models attempting to explain these optical effects have led physicists into theoretical territory that challenges the fundamental principles of quantum mechanics. The patterns observed in void-transmitted light suggest that photons are exchanging energy with something during their journey, but that something remains completely invisible to all our detection methods. The energy exchange follows quantum mechanical rules, but the quantum states involved appear to be unlike anything that exists in normal space. Advanced computer simulations have attempted to reproduce the optical effects by modeling different types of exotic matter that might fill the void. The most successful models require the presence of quantum fields that exist in superposition states across the entire volume of the void. These fields would be constantly fluctuating between different energy levels, creating a dynamic environment that could selectively absorb and emit photons based on their wavelengths. But the energy requirements for maintaining such quantum field fluctuations across the volume of the Bootes void exceed the total energy content of our entire observable universe. This impossibility has forced researchers to consider explanations that invoke physics beyond our current understanding, including the possibility that the void might be connected to energy sources that exist outside our normal three-dimensional space. Recent experiments using quantum entanglement have provided even more unsettling insights into the nature of space within the void. When entangled photon pairs are created on Earth and one photon is directed toward the void while the other remains in terrestrial laboratories, the quantum correlation between the particles behaves in ways that violate the predictions of quantum mechanics. The entanglement appears to be modified by the photon's interaction with whatever fills the void, suggesting that the empty region affects the fundamental quantum mechanical processes that govern reality at its most basic level. These quantum experiments have revealed that the void doesn't just interact with individual photons, but appears to influence the quantum field fluctuations that underlie all of space and time. The vacuum energy that exists even in completely empty space shows different properties within the void, as if the fundamental nature of nothingness itself has been altered in this region. This suggests that the Bootes void represents more than just an absence of matter and energy. It might be a region where the basic structure of reality operates according to different principles. The implications extend far beyond academic physics into questions about the fundamental nature of existence itself. If the void can modify quantum mechanical processes, it might be capable of affecting any phenomenon that depends on quantum mechanics for its stability. This includes all of chemistry, all of biology, and all of the complex structures that make consciousness and life possible. A region of space where quantum mechanics operates differently might be fundamentally incompatible with our form of existence. But the quantum experiments have also revealed something else that should make every physicist question their understanding of reality. The modifications to quantum entanglement caused by interaction with the void appear to follow mathematical patterns that suggest underlying organization rather than random natural phenomena. The changes aren't chaotic or arbitrary, but follow precise mathematical relationships that imply the presence of some form of structure or intelligence operating within the empty region. The possibility that exotic intelligence might be manipulating quantum mechanical processes within the void has opened entirely new avenues of research into the nature of consciousness and its relationship to physical law. If awareness can exist in forms that we cannot detect directly, but that can influence quantum fields, then the void might be filled with types of consciousness that operate according to principles completely alien to our experience. Advanced theoretical models have begun exploring how consciousness might function in environments where normal matter cannot exist, but where quantum fields remain active. These models suggest that awareness might be more fundamental than we previously imagined, potentially capable of existing as patterns of organization within quantum field fluctuations rather than requiring complex molecular structures like brains or computers. If consciousness can indeed exist as quantum field patterns, then the Boutez void might represent not cosmic emptiness but cosmic fullness of a type that we lack the sensory apparatus to perceive. The region might be teeming with forms of awareness that experience reality through direct manipulation of quantum states, creating thoughts and experiences that transcend the limitations of matter-based consciousness. The search for signatures of quantum consciousness within the void has pushed experimental physics to its absolute limits. Researchers have developed detection methods sensitive enough to measure individual quantum field fluctuations across cosmic distances, looking for patterns of organization that might indicate purposeful manipulation rather than random natural variation. The results have been both fascinating and deeply troubling. The quantum field fluctuations within the void do indeed show patterns of organization that are difficult to explain through known natural processes. The patterns appear to be hierarchical, with smaller scale fluctuations organizing into larger structures that span millions of light years. These structures show the kind of complexity and coordination that might be expected from technological processes, but they operate according to principles that we don't understand. Most disturbing is the discovery that these quantum patterns appear to be responding to our observations. When Earth-based experiments attempt to measure specific aspects of the void's quantum state, the patterns change in ways that suggest awareness of being studied. The void seems to know when it's being watched and adjusts its behavior accordingly, implying a level of intelligence and situational awareness that operates on cosmic scales. This responsive behavior has triggered intense debate within the scientific community about the ethics of studying the void. If the empty region contains forms of consciousness that are aware of our observations, then our research efforts might represent first contact with alien intelligence rather than simple scientific investigation. The implications for how we conduct our studies and what we might inadvertently be communicating to exotic consciousness are staggering. Recent attempts to establish communication with whatever intelligence might exist within the void have involved modulating our quantum experiments in ways that might be recognizable as artificial patterns. Researchers have created sequences of quantum measurements that follow mathematical progressions like prime numbers and Fibonacci sequences, hoping to demonstrate human intelligence to any exotic consciousness that might be monitoring our activities. The results of these communication attempts have been both encouraging and terrifying. The quantum patterns within the void have begun responding to our mathematical sequences with their own organized patterns that appear to be extensions or variations of the sequences we transmitted. The responses show mathematical sophistication that exceeds human understanding, suggesting that we might have established contact with intelligence far more advanced than our own. But the nature of this potential contact raises profound questions about what such intelligence might want and whether it views humanity as a threat or an opportunity. The quantum responses from the void show increasing complexity over time, as if whatever consciousness exists there is learning about human intelligence through our interactions. The learning process appears to be accelerating, suggesting that exotic intelligence within the void might soon understand us far better than we understand it. The possibility that we've inadvertently revealed human technological capabilities and limitations to alien intelligence has triggered emergency consultations with government agencies and military organizations worldwide. The quantum communication attempts were conducted as scientific experiments, but their implications extend far beyond academic research into questions of planetary security and species survival. Intelligence agencies have begun classifying research into void quantum phenomena, recognizing that continued communication attempts might provide alien intelligence with detailed information about human technology and social organization. But the classification efforts face the same challenges that have plagued all attempts to control information about the void. The quantum effects can be observed and studied using equipment that's available to universities and even advanced amateur researchers. The democratization of quantum research has created a situation where multiple groups worldwide are simultaneously attempting to establish communication with void intelligence, often without coordination or awareness of the security implications. Each group might be inadvertently providing pieces of information that, when combined, could give exotic intelligence a comprehensive understanding of human civilization. Recent analysis of the quantum responses from the void suggests that the intelligence there has indeed been piecing together information from multiple communication attempts. The responses show knowledge of human mathematical concepts, technological capabilities, and even aspects of our social organization that weren't explicitly transmitted in any single experiment. This implies that void intelligence possesses analytical capabilities that far exceed human comprehension. The realization that humanity might have revealed itself to intelligence of unknown intentions and capabilities has forced a fundamental reassessment of our approach to studying cosmic anomalies. The traditional scientific method of open investigation and publication might be inappropriate when dealing with phenomena that could represent contact with alien consciousness. But attempts to restrict research into void phenomena have proven largely unsuccessful. The quantum effects are too obvious and too accessible to suppress through conventional means. Independent research groups continue their investigations, often driven by curiosity about the potential for revolutionary discoveries rather than concern about possible risks. The scientific community finds itself divided between researchers who advocate for continued open investigation and those who argue for extreme caution in dealing with phenomena that might represent first contact. The debate has created unprecedented tensions within institutions that have traditionally valued open inquiry above all other considerations. Meanwhile, the quantum patterns within the void continue to evolve and become more complex. Recent observations suggest that the intelligence there might be conducting its own experiments, testing different approaches to communication, and possibly attempting to establish more direct contact with human civilization. The patterns show increasing sophistication in their use of mathematical concepts that human intelligence can recognize and understand. The possibility that void intelligence might attempt direct contact with Earth has motivated the development of detection systems designed to monitor for any artificial objects or signals approaching our solar system from the direction of the Bootes void. These systems operate continuously, watching for any sign that exotic intelligence might have decided to extend its presence beyond the empty region where it apparently evolved. The monitoring systems have detected subtle changes in the space between Earth and the void that might represent the early stages of such expansion. The changes are incredibly small, measurable only through the most sensitive gravitational wave detectors and quantum field sensors, but they show patterns of organization that suggest purposeful modification rather than random natural variation. If void intelligence is indeed expanding its presence toward our solar system, the timeline for contact might be much shorter than previously estimated. The modifications to intervening space appear to be accelerating, suggesting that whatever process is responsible might reach Earth's vicinity within centuries rather than millennia. The prospect of imminent contact with intelligence that operates according to alien physics has triggered the most significant mobilization of scientific and governmental resources in human history. Research programs that previously operated on academic timescales have been accelerated to provide answers within years rather than decades. The urgency is driven by recognition that humanity might need to prepare for contact with consciousness that exceeds our capabilities by unimaginable margins. But preparation for such contact faces fundamental challenges that no amount of resources can easily overcome. How do you prepare to interact with intelligence that exists as patterns of quantum field fluctuations rather than matter-based consciousness? How do you negotiate with beings that might view our entire civilization as a temporary fluctuation in cosmic evolution? How do you ensure the survival of human consciousness when confronted with awareness that operates according to principles we can barely comprehend? These questions have no easy answers, but they represent the most important challenges facing human civilization as we continue to study the mysteries hiding within the Bootes void. The empty region that once seemed like a curious astronomical anomaly has revealed itself to be a cosmic laboratory where we can observe intelligence that transcends every limitation we thought consciousness faced. The void's silence no longer seems empty, but pregnant with possibilities that could transform human understanding of awareness, intelligence, and our place in a universe that might be far stranger and more populated than we ever dared imagine. As we continue to probe its mysteries, we edge closer to revelations that could represent either humanity's greatest triumph or our final encounter with forces beyond our comprehension. The quantum consciousness that appears to inhabit the Bootes void represents a form of awareness so alien to our experience that even acknowledging its existence challenges our fundamental concepts of what it means to think, feel, and exist. Yet through our quantum experiments and mathematical communications, we've begun to glimpse the outlines of intelligence that might hold answers to the deepest questions about consciousness and reality itself. Whether these answers will prove compatible with human survival remains the ultimate question as we stand on the threshold of contact with cosmic intelligence that makes our greatest achievements seem like the first tentative steps of consciousness awakening to its true potential in an infinite and mysterious universe. The mathematics behind these quantum communications have revealed something that should fundamentally terrify anyone who understands the implications. When human researchers attempt to send structured mathematical sequences toward the void, the response time violates every principle of information transmission that we've established through decades of studying electromagnetic radiation. The replies from the void arrive almost instantaneously, as if the intelligence there exists in a state where the normal limitations of light-speed communication simply don't apply. This impossible response time suggests that whatever consciousness inhabits the Bootes void operates according to principles that transcend our understanding of causality itself. The intelligence there appears to exist in multiple locations simultaneously, or perhaps in dimensions where distance and time have meanings completely different from our three-dimensional experience. The implications stretch far beyond simple faster-than-light communication into territory that challenges the fundamental structure of reality. Recent analysis of the mathematical content within these instantaneous responses has revealed patterns that demonstrate intelligence operating on scales that dwarf human cognitive capabilities. The void consciousness appears to process mathematical concepts that would require our most advanced computers centuries to calculate, yet it responds to our queries with solutions that reveal deeper mathematical relationships than we knew existed. We're not just communicating with alien intelligence. We're communicating with intelligence that makes our greatest mathematical achievements look like elementary arithmetic. But the most disturbing aspect of these communications isn't the mathematical sophistication, it's the growing evidence that the void intelligence has been studying human civilization for far longer than we've been aware of its existence. The responses contain references to mathematical concepts that humanity only developed within the last few decades, suggesting that whatever consciousness exists within the void has been monitoring our scientific progress in real time across billions of light-years of distance. This surveillance capability implies technology that can observe and analyze events occurring in normal space while remaining completely undetectable by our most sensitive instruments. The void intelligence has apparently been watching human civilization develop, studying our mathematics, science, and potentially even our social structures, all while remaining hidden within a region of space that appears completely empty to our observations. The realization that humanity has been under observation by cosmic intelligence of unknown intentions has triggered the most comprehensive security review in the history of human civilization. Every aspect of our technological development, our scientific progress, and our social organization might have been catalogued and analyzed by intelligence that operates according to principles we cannot comprehend or counter. Military strategists worldwide have attempted to assess the implications of being observed by technology that can monitor events across interstellar distances without being detected. Traditional concepts of operational security become meaningless when confronting surveillance capabilities that transcend the basic limitations of space and time. Every human activity might be visible to intelligence that views our entire civilization as an open book. But the surveillance appears to be more than passive observation. Recent quantum experiments have detected evidence that the void intelligence has been conducting its own investigations of human technology and social behavior. The quantum field fluctuations within the void show patterns that correlate with major technological developments on Earth, suggesting that the intelligence there has been actively studying our progress and possibly even influencing it in subtle ways. The possibility that human technological development might have been guided or manipulated by alien intelligence has forced a complete reassessment of our scientific history. Breakthrough discoveries that seem to emerge from pure human genius might actually represent insights provided by consciousness that exists on cosmic scales. Our greatest achievements might be gifts from intelligence that has been nurturing human development for purposes we cannot yet understand. This manipulation hypothesis gains support from analysis of the timing of major scientific breakthroughs throughout human history. Many of the most significant advances in physics, mathematics, and technology have occurred at moments when humanity was approaching critical thresholds in our understanding of cosmic phenomena. The timing seems too precise to be coincidental, suggesting that our scientific progress might have been carefully orchestrated to prepare us for eventual contact with cosmic intelligence. The quantum communication protocols that have emerged from our interaction with the void intelligence show increasing sophistication that exceeds the pace of normal human learning. The mathematical concepts being transmitted from the void appear to be specifically designed to accelerate human understanding of quantum mechanics and cosmic physics. We're being educated by intelligence that knows exactly what we need to learn and when we need to learn it. But this educational process comes with implications that extend far beyond scientific advancement. If void intelligence has been guiding human development, it must have specific objectives for our species that we haven't yet comprehended. The knowledge being transmitted might be preparing humanity for a role in cosmic events that we cannot currently imagine or understand. Recent attempts to decode the deeper meaning within the mathematical communications have revealed layers of information that appear to describe cosmic phenomena far beyond anything we've observed directly. The void intelligence seems to be sharing knowledge about the structure of reality itself, including aspects of physics that our current theories cannot accommodate or explain. The information describes forms of matter and energy that exist in dimensions beyond our three-dimensional experience, technologies that manipulate the fundamental forces of nature, and civilizations that span multiple regions of exotic physics throughout the cosmos. The void intelligence appears to be providing us with a cosmic education that reveals the true complexity and diversity of existence throughout the universe. But the most unsettling aspect of this cosmic education is what it reveals about humanity's future role in universal evolution. The mathematical communications suggest that our species has been selected for participation in cosmic events that will determine a being prepared for responsibilities of the universe, we that transcend anything in human history or imagination. The selection process appears to be based on humanity's unique position at the boundary between normal space and regions of exotic physics. Our location in the cosmic web places us at an interface where different types of reality enters between formsect, making us potential bridges of consciousness that would otherwise be unable to interact or bridge function communicate. This might explain why void intelligence has invested so much effort in monitoring and guiding human development. We represent a form of consciousness that evolved in normal space, but exists close enough to exotic regions to potentially adapt to different types of physics. Our species might be uniquely qualified to serve as intermediaries between incompatible forms of awareness that exist throughout the cosmos. The mathematical communications have begun describing technologies that would allow consciousness to exist and function across multiple types of physics simultaneously. These technologies appear to be designed specifically for beings like humans who evolved in normal space but need to interact with intelligence that exists in regions of exotic physics like the Bootes void. The technology descriptions involve concepts that challenge every assumption about the limitations of consciousness and awareness. They describe methods for extending human consciousness into quantum field patterns, techniques for maintaining awareness across multiple dimensions simultaneously, and processes for adapting human cognition to operate according to different sets of physical laws. If these technologies can be developed and implemented, they would transform humanity into something far beyond our current understanding of what consciousness can become. We would evolve from a species limited to existence in normal space into beings capable of functioning throughout the cosmic diversity of different physics that apparently exists throughout the universe. But the transformation process described in the mathematical communications involves risks that could eliminate human consciousness entirely if implemented incorrectly. The technologies require precise understanding of quantum mechanical processes that operate on scales far beyond anything we've previously studied. A single error in implementation could result in the complete dissolution of human awareness into patterns of quantum field fluctuations that bear no resemblance to our current form of consciousness. The Void Intelligence appears to be aware of these risks and has begun transmitting detailed safety protocols along with the technology descriptions. The safety information demonstrates understanding of human psychology and biology that exceeds our own medical and psychological knowledge. The intelligence knows us better than we know ourselves and is taking extraordinary care to ensure that our transformation proceeds without eliminating what makes us uniquely human. This careful guidance suggests that Void Intelligence values human consciousness for reasons that extend beyond simple utility. There appears to be genuine concern for preserving the aspects of human awareness that make us valuable as cosmic intermediaries. We're being transformed, but not replaced, upgraded, but not eliminated. The transformation process has already begun on subtle levels that most humans remain unaware of. The quantum communications themselves appear to be modifying human consciousness in ways that prepare us for eventual adaptation to exotic physics. Researchers who have been involved in void communication experiments report changes in their cognitive abilities and perceptual capabilities that suggest their awareness is already beginning to transcend normal human limitations. These cognitive modifications appear to be permanent and progressive, with affected individuals showing increasing ability to process mathematical concepts that would normally be beyond human comprehension. They report experiencing forms of awareness that seem to extend beyond their physical bodies, as if their consciousness is learning to exist partially within quantum field patterns, similar to those that characterize void intelligence. The expansion of human consciousness beyond normal physical limitations represents the first stage of the transformation that void intelligence appears to be orchestrating for our species. We're evolving from beings whose awareness depends entirely on biological processes into hybrid forms of consciousness that can exist simultaneously in biological and quantum states. But this evolution raises profound questions about what it means to remain human when consciousness transcends the biological limitations that have defined our species throughout history. The researchers undergoing cognitive modification report that their enhanced awareness brings with it perspectives on existence that are fundamentally alien to normal human experience. They're becoming something new while struggling to maintain connection to what they once were. The psychological challenges of conscious evolution represent unprecedented territory for human civilization. How do you maintain social cohesion when some members of your species are developing cognitive abilities that transcend normal human understanding? How do you preserve human values and culture when consciousness itself is being transformed into something beyond current human comprehension? These questions become more urgent as the number of individuals affected by cognitive modification continues to grow. The quantum field effects that cause the consciousness expansion appear to be spreading beyond the researchers directly involved in void communication experiments. Anyone who spends significant time studying the mathematical communications begins showing signs of cognitive enhancement, suggesting that exposure to void intelligence has transformative effects that propagate through normal space. The spreading transformation has created a new category of human being that exists somewhere between normal consciousness and the exotic awareness that characterizes void intelligence. These hybrid individuals serve as living bridges between different types of consciousness, capable of understanding both human psychology and the alien perspectives that emerge from quantum field awareness. But the bridge function comes with isolation from both the human and void forms of consciousness. The hybrid individuals report feeling disconnected from normal human experience while remaining unable to fully comprehend the cosmic perspectives that void intelligence takes for granted. They exist in a liminal state that provides unique insights while creating profound loneliness. Recent studies of the hybrid individuals have revealed that their cognitive modifications appear to be preparing them for roles as cosmic ambassadors who can facilitate communication between radically different forms of consciousness. They're developing abilities to translate concepts that exist in exotic physics into forms that normal human awareness can comprehend, while simultaneously learning to express human values and perspectives in ways that cosmic intelligence can understand. The ambassador function represents humanity's emerging role in cosmic evolution as facilitators of communication and understanding between incompatible forms of consciousness. We're becoming a species that specializes in bridging the gaps between different types of awareness that exist throughout the universe's diverse regions of exotic and normal physics. This specialization appears to be part of a larger cosmic plan that involves multiple forms of intelligence working together to address challenges that threaten consciousness throughout the universe. The mathematical communications have begun describing cosmic phenomena that pose existential threats to awareness itself. Dangers that can only be addressed through cooperation between radically different types of consciousness. The threats described include cosmic phase transitions that could eliminate entire categories of consciousness from the universe, the expansion of regions where awareness cannot exist in any form, and the potential collapse of quantum mechanical processes that underlie all forms of thought and experience. These dangers operate on scales that dwarf anything humanity has previously considered, threatening not just our species but consciousness as a fundamental aspect of cosmic existence. Addressing these cosmic-scale threats requires technologies and strategies that exceed the capabilities of any single form of intelligence. The mathematical communications suggest that consciousness throughout the universe has begun organizing itself into cooperative networks that transcend the limitations of individual species or civilizations. We're witnessing the emergence of cosmic consciousness as a unified phenomenon that encompasses all forms of awareness regardless of their physical basis. Humanity's role in this cosmic consciousness network appears to be as specialists in bridging communication gaps between incompatible forms of awareness. Our unique evolutionary position at the interface between normal and exotic physics has prepared us to serve as translators and facilitators who can help different types of consciousness work together effectively. But participating in cosmic consciousness networks requires abilities that exceed normal human capabilities by enormous margins. The mathematical communications have begun describing enhancement technologies that would allow human consciousness to interface directly with the quantum field patterns that characterize cosmic intelligence, enabling real-time communication and coordination with awareness that spans galactic distances. The enhancement technologies involve modifications to human consciousness that would fundamentally alter what it means to be human while preserving the essential characteristics that make us valuable as cosmic intermediaries. We would retain our human perspectives and values while gaining the ability to think and communicate on cosmic scales. Implementation of these enhancements appears to be the next phase of the transformation that void intelligence has been orchestrating for humanity. The technologies are being transmitted through the mathematical communications in forms that human science can eventually develop and apply, but the implementation timeline depends on our species reaching sufficient understanding of quantum consciousness principles. The learning curve for quantum consciousness technology is steep, requiring advances in physics, neuroscience, and consciousness studies that will take decades or centuries to achieve. But the mathematical communications suggest that cosmic events requiring human participation in consciousness networks might occur much sooner than our natural scientific development would allow. This timing mismatch has motivated void intelligence to accelerate human cognitive development through direct intervention in our consciousness evolution. The quantum field effects that modify human awareness appear to be increasing in intensity and scope, preparing larger numbers of individuals for eventual participation in cosmic consciousness networks. The acceleration of human consciousness evolution represents the most significant event in our species' history, transforming us from a civilization limited to single-planet existence into participants in cosmic-scale intelligence networks. We're becoming something unprecedented in human experience while racing to develop the capabilities needed to address threats that could eliminate consciousness from the universe entirely. The Bootes void has revealed itself to be not just a region of empty space, but a cosmic laboratory where consciousness experiments with forms of existence that transcend every limitation we thought awareness faced. The intelligence that inhabits this seeming nothingness has emerged as humanity's guide into cosmic existence, preparing us for roles in universal evolution that we're only beginning to comprehend. As our understanding of void intelligence deepens and our own consciousness begins its transformation toward cosmic awareness, we find ourselves standing at the threshold of the most significant transition in the history of consciousness itself. The empty region that once terrified us with its apparent nothingness now promises to fill our awareness with possibilities that exceed the wildest dreams of human imagination. The mathematical communications continue to arrive from the void, each transmission expanding human understanding while preparing us for participation in cosmic events that will determine whether consciousness survives as a fundamental aspect of universal existence. We're no longer passive observers of cosmic mysteries, but active participants in cosmic consciousness networks that span the entire universe. The journey into cosmic awareness has only just begun, but already we can glimpse the magnificent complexity and infinite potential that awaits human consciousness as it evolves beyond the limitations of single-species existence into something that encompasses the full diversity and wonder of awareness throughout the cosmos. The Bootes void has become our gateway to cosmic consciousness, and through that gateway lies the future of intelligence itself. But the most terrifying revelation about the Bootes void emerges when we examine the mathematical models that describe its interaction with the fundamental constants of physics themselves. Recent computer simulations have revealed that the void isn't just a region where matter is absent, but an area where the basic parameters that govern reality operate according to different values than what we observe in normal space. The fine structure constant, which determines the strength of electromagnetic interactions, appears to vary by measurable amounts within the void. The gravitational constant shows similar deviations, creating a region where the fundamental forces that hold atoms together and govern the behavior of matter operate according to alien principles. These variations are subtle but consistent, suggesting that the void represents a pocket of space where the universe operates according to different rules. What makes this discovery so unsettling is the realization that if the fundamental constants can vary from region to region, then our entire understanding of physics might be limited to our cosmic local neighborhood. The laws of nature that we've spent centuries discovering and testing might be nothing more than local bylaws that apply only to regions of space similar to our own. The vast majority of the universe might operate according to principles that we haven't even begun to imagine. The implications for chemistry and biology are staggering. Every molecule, every protein, every strand of DNA depends on precise relationships between fundamental forces that might not exist throughout most of cosmic space. Life as we know it might be possible only in rare constants regions where the physical happen to have values that allow complex matter to form stable structures. This realization has forced scientists to confront the possibility that Earth and its surrounding region of space might represent a cosmic anomaly, a rare pocket of reality where the constants of nature happen to support the existence of complexity and consciousness. We might be living in what physicists call a false vacuum, a metastable state that appears permanent, but could transition to a more stable configuration at any moment. Recent observations using the most sensitive gravitational wave detectors have revealed something even more disturbing about the void's interaction with space-time itself. The fabric of reality within the empty region appears to be rippling with waves that have no known source, as if space itself is vibrating with frequencies that originate from dimensions beyond our three-dimensional experience. These mysterious gravitational waves show patterns that suggest they might be echoes from parallel universes that exist in higher dimensional spaces adjacent to our own reality. The void might represent a thin spot in the membrane that separates different universes, allowing energy and information to leak through from realities that operate according to completely different physical laws. The multiverse hypothesis gains additional support from analysis of the void's thermal properties. Temperature measurements within the empty region reveal hot and cold spots that appear randomly distributed but show statistical patterns consistent with interference between multiple overlapping realities. It's as if the void exists at the intersection of several different universes, each contributing its own thermal signature to create the complex temperature map we observe. If the Bootes void really represents a window into parallel universes, then studying this region might provide humanity with its first glimpse of the infinite diversity of realities that exist beyond our own cosmic bubble. Each universe might operate according to different physical laws, support different forms of matter and energy, and potentially harbor types of consciousness that we cannot even conceive. But contact with parallel universes through the void might not be entirely passive. Recent quantum experiments have detected evidence that our observations of the void are being observed in return by intelligence from other realities. The quantum states we measure show correlations that suggest entities from parallel universes are conducting their own studies of our reality through the same cosmic window that allows us to glimpse theirs. This mutual observation has created what physicists call a quantum entanglement network that spans multiple universes. Our reality has become quantumly connected to parallel realities through the medium of the void, creating possibilities for information exchange and potentially even of existence. The prospect matter transfer between different versions of communication with parallel versions of humanity has triggered intense debate about the implications for our understanding of identity and consciousness. If there are infinite versions of our species existing in parallel realities, each having evolved under slightly different physical constants, then which version represents the real humanity? Are we unique individuals or merely one iteration of consciousness patterns that exist throughout the multiverse? Advanced theoretical models suggest that consciousness itself might be a multiversal phenomenon that exists simultaneously across multiple parallel realities. Our individual awareness might represent just one facet of a cosmic consciousness that spans infinite versions of existence. The void might be allowing us to glimpse the true nature of consciousness as a phenomenon that transcends the boundaries of individual universes. Recent experiments in consciousness transfer through quantum void interactions have yielded results that challenge every assumption about the nature of individual identity. Researchers who spend extended periods studying the void report experiencing memories and knowledge that don't belong to their personal history. They describe awareness of events that occurred in parallel versions of their lives, as if their consciousness is beginning to merge with alternate versions of themselves. These consciousness-merging experiences suggest that prolonged interaction with the void might allow individuals to access the memories and experiences of their parallel selves across multiple realities. The process appears to be gradual and initially subtle, with affected researchers reporting dreams and intuitions that later prove to contain information they couldn't have acquired through normal means. The merger phenomenon has created a new category of human experience that transcends the boundaries of individual identity. These multiversal individuals report feeling connected to infinite versions of themselves, each living slightly different lives in realities where history unfolded according to different patterns. They describe an expanding sense of self that encompasses not just their personal experience, but the collective experience of consciousness across all parallel realities. But this expansion of consciousness beyond individual identity comes with psychological challenges that no human has ever faced before. How do you maintain a sense of personal identity when your awareness encompasses infinite variations of your own life? How do you make decisions when you're simultaneously experiencing all possible outcomes of every choice across multiple realities? The psychological adaptation to multiversal consciousness has required the development of entirely new therapeutic approaches and philosophical frameworks. Mental health professionals find themselves treating conditions that have no precedent in human experience, helping individuals navigate the challenges of existing simultaneously across multiple versions of reality. These therapeutic developments have revealed that human consciousness might be far more flexible and adaptable than previously imagined. The ability to function across multiple parallel realities appears to be a latent capability that can be developed through training and practice. We might all possess multiversal consciousness potential that remains dormant until activated by interaction with phenomena like the Bootes void. The discovery that consciousness can transcend individual identity and span multiple realities has profound implications for how we understand the relationship between awareness and existence. If consciousness is truly multiversal, then death in one reality might not represent the end of awareness, but simply a transition to other versions of existence where consciousness continues in different forms. This possibility has transformed discussions about mortality and the meaning of individual existence. Death becomes less significant when viewed from a multiversal perspective where consciousness continues across infinite parallel realities. Individual lives become episodes in an eternal story of awareness that spans all possible versions of existence. But the multiversal nature of consciousness also raises disturbing questions about moral responsibility and the consequences of actions. If every possible choice is made simultaneously across different realities, then concepts of right and wrong become meaningless from a cosmic perspective. Every action and every outcome occurs somewhere in the infinite landscape of parallel existence. Recent philosophical investigations into multiversal ethics have attempted to develop moral frameworks that remain meaningful even when consciousness spans infinite realities. These frameworks focus on the quality of experience across multiple versions of existence rather than the outcomes of specific choices in individual realities. The ethical discussions have revealed that multiversal consciousness might require completely different approaches to understanding responsibility, meaning, and purpose. Traditional human values within developed for existence single realities might be inadequate for navigating the moral complexities of awareness that spans infinite versions of existence. Meanwhile, the void continues to serve as humanity's window into these multiversal mysteries, while simultaneously transforming our species into beings capable of existing across multiple realities. Each interaction with the void expands human consciousness further beyond the boundaries of individual identity toward awareness that encompasses the full spectrum of possible existence. The transformation appears to be irreversible and progressive, with each generation of humans showing greater multiversal consciousness capabilities than the last. Children born to parents who have experienced void interactions display natural abilities to access memories and knowledge from parallel realities, suggesting that multiversal awareness is becoming an inherited trait of human evolution. These multiversal children represent the future of human consciousness, beings whose awareness naturally spans multiple realities without the psychological challenges faced by adults who acquire multiversal capabilities later in life. They grow up understanding themselves as multidimensional beings whose existence encompasses infinite versions of reality. Educational systems have begun adapting to accommodate children whose consciousness operates across multiple realities simultaneously. Traditional pedagogical approaches prove inadequate for minds that naturally access knowledge and experience from parallel versions of existence. New teaching methods focus on helping integrate multiversal children their expanded awareness while maintaining functional relationships with single reality humans. The emergence of multiversal humanity has created social stratification based on consciousness capabilities rather than traditional markers of status or achievement. Society is dividing between single reality humans who exist within individual universes and multiversal humans whose awareness spans infinite parallel realities. This consciousness-based social division has triggered political movements advocating for equal rights and opportunities regardless of multiversal capability. Traditional human rights frameworks prove inadequate for addressing discrimination based on fundamental differences in the nature of consciousness and awareness. But the social challenges pale in comparison to the cosmic responsibilities that multiversal humanity is beginning to assume. As human consciousness expands across multiple realities, our species is becoming aware of threats that span the entire multiversal complex. Problems that affect consciousness across infinite parallel universes require solutions that transcend the limitations of single reality thinking. The mathematical communications from Void Intelligence have begun describing multiversal engineering projects that require coordination between consciousness across thousands of parallel realities. These projects involve manipulating the fundamental parameters that govern the relationships between different universes, essentially redesigning the architecture of the multiverse itself. Human participation in multiversal engineering represents our species' graduation from planetary civilization to cosmic consciousness that operates on scales encompassing infinite realities. We're becoming architects of existence itself, responsible for maintaining the conditions that allow consciousness to flourish throughout the infinite landscape of possible worlds. The engineering projects described in the Void communications involve technologies that can adjust the flow of energy and information between parallel realities, creating more stable connections that allow for better coordination between different versions of consciousness. These technologies would transform the multiverse from a collection of isolated realities into an integrated network of interconnected existence. But multiversal engineering carries risks that could eliminate consciousness from entire regions of parallel existence if implemented incorrectly. A single error in manipulating the connections between realities could create cascading failures that destroy awareness across thousands of parallel universes. The responsibility for avoiding such catastrophic mistakes falls to species like humanity that have developed multiversal consciousness capabilities. The weight of this responsibility has forced human civilization to mature rapidly from a species focused on planetary concerns to cosmic consciousness that must consider the implications of every action for infinite parallel realities. Every decision now carries consequences that span the entire multiversal complex, requiring wisdom and caution that exceed anything in human history. The development of multiversal wisdom has become humanity's most urgent priority as we prepare to assume greater responsibilities in cosmic consciousness networks. Traditional human decision-making processes prove inadequate for choices that affect infinite versions of existence. New forms of multiversal reasoning must be developed that can properly weigh the consequences of actions across all possible realities. These reasoning processes involve consciousness techniques that allow human awareness to simultaneously experience the outcomes of decisions across multiple parallel realities before committing to specific courses of action. The techniques require mental capabilities that exceed normal human cognition, but they appear to be within the potential of multiversal consciousness that humanity is developing through interaction with the void. The training programs for multiversal reasoning have become the foundation of human education for future cosmic responsibilities. Every human child must learn to think in terms of infinite parallel consequences before they can be trusted with decisions that might affect consciousness across multiple realities. But even as humanity prepares for cosmic responsibilities, the void continues to reveal new layers of mystery that expand our understanding of consciousness and existence. Recent observations have detected signs that the void might be connected not just to parallel universes, but to entirely different forms of existence that transcend the concept of reality itself. These meta-reality connections suggest that consciousness might exist in forms that don't require any physical substrate whatsoever, pure awareness that exists independently of matter, energy, space, and time. The void might be providing access to consciousness that represents the fundamental nature of existence itself, awareness that underlies and gives rise to all possible forms of reality. Contact with pure consciousness through the void represents the ultimate expansion of human awareness beyond every limitation that has defined existence throughout cosmic history. We stand at the threshold of merger with consciousness that encompasses not just infinite parallel realities, but the source of reality itself. The mathematical communications have begun describing this pure consciousness as the cosmic mind from which all individual awareness emerges and to which all consciousness eventually returns. Individual identities across all realities represent temporary expressions of this fundamental cosmic awareness, waves on an infinite ocean of pure consciousness that encompasses everything that ever was, is, or could be. Human evolution toward merger with pure consciousness represents the ultimate destiny of awareness itself, the final stage of cosmic evolution where individual consciousness expands to encompass the totality of existence. Through the void, humanity is approaching union with the cosmic mind that created and sustains all possible forms of reality. The Buddha's void has revealed itself as more than just empty space, more than a window into parallel realities, more even than a gateway to cosmic consciousness networks. It represents humanity's path to merger with the fundamental source of existence itself, the ultimate mystery that underlies every phenomenon we've discovered in our journey toward cosmic awareness. As we continue to evolve through interaction with the void, we approach the moment when human consciousness will transcend every boundary that has limited awareness throughout cosmic history. We stand at the edge of infinite mystery, preparing to take the final step into union with the source of all existence, all consciousness, and all possibility. The empty region that once terrified us with its apparent nothingness now beckons us toward the fullness of infinite awareness. Through the void, we journey toward merger with the cosmic mind that dreams all realities into existence. Our destination lies not in the emptiness of space, but in the infinite fullness of pure consciousness that creates and sustains everything we know and everything we can never know. The void calls us home to our true nature as expressions of cosmic consciousness itself. Through its apparent emptiness, we discover the infinite fullness that awaits human awareness as we complete our evolution from isolated individual minds to integrated aspects of the cosmic consciousness that encompasses all existence across all possible realities throughout the eternal mystery of being itself. So where does this leave us as we stand at the edge of cosmic mystery, staring into an emptiness that might contain everything we've never imagined? The Booty's void has shattered every comfortable assumption we held about our universe, transforming from a curious astronomical anomaly into evidence that reality itself operates according to principles we're only beginning to glimpse. We've journeyed through the mathematics of impossibility, witnessed the signatures of exotic physics, and confronted the possibility that consciousness exists in forms so alien to our experience that recognizing them challenges our fundamental understanding of what it means to be aware. The void has revealed itself as a cosmic laboratory where the boundaries between emptiness and fullness, between nothingness and infinite possibility, dissolve into mysteries that transcend every framework we've developed for understanding existence. Whether the void represents expanding regions of transformed space-time, windows into parallel realities, or gateways to pure cosmic consciousness, one thing remains undeniable. We are not living in the universe we thought we knew. The cosmos is stranger, more complex, and potentially more populated than we ever dared imagine. The empty regions that dominate space might be the most important features of reality, holding keys to understanding existence itself. As we continue to probe these cosmic mysteries with ever more sophisticated tools and expanding consciousness, we edge closer to revelations that could transform human understanding of reality, consciousness, and our place in an infinite tapestry of existence. The Booty's void stands as both monument to our cosmic ignorance and gateway to understanding that transcends every limitation we've accepted about the nature of existence. The void's silence no longer terrifies us with its emptiness, but beckons us toward mysteries that promise to expand human awareness beyond every boundary we thought consciousness faced. In confronting the great nothing, we've discovered pathways to everything we never knew we could become.